Hi and greetings from Bristol in the UK. My name is Sylwia Korsak, pronounced her, she, and today I would like to invite you to a new course on working with displaced peoples, hosted by Iron Mill Online on the 24th and 25th of November. The course is advertised on 2 dates. On Thursday, you can join us at 9 a.m. in the morning for 2.5 hours GMT time. On Friday, you can join us at 6 p.m. for 2.5 hours GMT time. And if you purchase your ticket, you will also receive a recording just in case if you can't make it actually in person to the course. We're trying to make it as accessible for you as possible. The course is going to be coming with a transcript as well, so you don't have to be fluent in English to make the most of it. Now, today I'm here to tell you a little bit more about this course, who I am, and what those 2.5 hours will contain. I am a liberation practitioner, and I will tell you more about liberation psychologies during the beginning of the course. I'm a founder of a Boxer Hub, where we're offering digital well-being, counselling, coaching, and consultancy, including training to support people's liberation from negative technology bias, but also other forms of othering. So we will look generally, or as in an overarching way, in different forms of othering that currently in all ways people have experienced. We're talking about gender-based othering, we're talking about race and identity-based othering, we're talking about actual physical forms of displacement, we're talking about work with people who possibly can't speak English, so non-verbal support, and much more. In terms of this invitation, we really welcome people who are not only mental health practitioners, but possibly are hosting refugees or just want to understand some really practical interventions and practical forms of support that we can offer to people in that mental or physical state of displacement, of feeling like we don't belong, or having limitations and barriers to accessing what we really truly should be able to access. So in terms of how the course is laid out, in the first part of the course, for the first about 40 minutes, we will look at the theory of liberation psychologies. We will look at where the terminology liberation psychologies comes from, what it means, what's the underlying philosophy. We will look at some specific frameworks, like, for example, power thread meaning framework used here in the UK. From a very accessible point of view, you will get specific questions you can ask yourself. You do not have to be a mental health practitioner to be able to apply those ways of thinking to supporting displaced peoples. We will then move on. We'll have a little break, maybe a little bit of a conversation about liberation psychologies. We welcome your feedback as well through chat, and for those of you who don't like chat on Zoom, you're welcome not to participate. You're welcome to switch it off if that's what you want to do. Make this course work for yourself. We'll be there to support you. In the second part, we will look at practical interventions. We'll look at some aspects of working with displaced people, the processes that displaced peoples might be experiencing, such as grief, such as trauma-informed work. And I think this part of our course is actually going to highlight a lot of places where you can continue researching. It will be a bit of a starting point for the conversation. I think it will give you definitely a good understanding of what to pay attention to when working with displaced peoples. However, you can also use it if you are a social worker, or if you were a GP, or if you work directly with homeless people, abused women, refugees, and so on and so on. It will give you a really good starting point to maybe research those areas a little bit more. So we're going to look at trauma-informed work, we're going to look at grief, we're going to look at collective forms of support, non-verbal forms of support. We're going to look at how to work with translators and interpreters. So we're just going to get a little bit more practical. And finally, in the last part of the course, we're also going to look at some reflective exercises, because I think it's really important to start to work with ourselves. If we're talking about, for example, critical whiteness studies to work with refugees and work with people oppressed and traumatized by racism, for example, we also need to be able to start with a reflection on our own identity and our own privileges and our own sense of displacement. So in the last part of the course, I'm going to give you a few very practical reflective exercises that you can start to use to really immerse yourself in this work in a more aware way, in a safer way, in a very much informed way, where you can form really good relationship with displaced peoples and build collectives and supportive systems for them. So I hope you will enjoy the course. I hope we can make it. I will do my best to deliver the theory and practical ideas for you, but I also open the floor to you. I look forward to your experiences, and I hope that we can collectively, on those 2 days, increase our awareness around the possibility of supporting displaced peoples through liberation psychologies and through some practical tips and interventions. So if you have a minute to spare, if you have £3 to spare, we've made this course really accessible, and we would love to see you on a Thursday at 9 a.m. in the morning GMT for 2.5 hours, or on Friday at 6 p.m. for 2.5 hours, with a recording and with a transcript delivered to you after the event. So please join us. Please bring your ideas, bring your experiences, and I look forward to learning from you, and I look forward to sharing what I have learned so far in this line of work. Thank you so much. Take care.